What's going on, guys? PepperBelly here, bringing you a video guide on air supremacy, how you can dominate the air with whatever vehicle you own, whichever one you have, depending on your faction you're currently in, and some helpful tips to enhance your performance while flying in the sky, which you work wonders for me, and I think it'll work wonders for you as well, depending on if you have the equipment. I'm not talking, of course, of joysticks or anything similar in that nature. I'm talking about air tactics and all the things you can do to enhance your maneuverability with your aircraft whenever you're flying and dogfighting and stuff like that. Now, me, I'm personally a fighter pilot. I don't really engage ground targets as much. I don't do what most people do, which is fit rocket pods to their aircraft and just like do strafing runs on the ground, destroying tanks or infantry. I don't tend to do that. I like to go and pick fights with other aircraft. That's what I love doing. And ways I found myself being able to do that is by using tactics that cater a lot more to the way the aircraft actually fly, the mechanics of the aircraft, the way it's designed, and I'm going to get into that right now pretty much. So first things first is always remember that you are a VTOL. Big, huge, important thing to remember, because VTOLs is vertical takeoff and landing, in case most of you that don't know that, which means you take off vertically and you land vertically. You don't actually need a runway to speed up and get air under your wings and then, you know, fly like a fighter jet. You don't need to do that. You can just take off vertically, and you can fly similarly to that of a jet aircraft. It's convenient in a way that it allows you to hover in specific situations. You can actually fly it like you are an Apache helicopter, an attack chopper, which is quite convenient whenever you're trying to take cover or stalk enemies. One thing I tend to do is I'll always hide behind hills or obstacles and kind of fly like I would in, you know, I would an attack chopper, like Apaches or Comanches for that matter. Playing the Comanche Gold back in the day, or Comanche 4, that's what you would do. You'd always hide behind hills, use your terrain as cover, trees, anything. You can actually hide behind obstacles like that, and whenever you see the opponent that is coming for you, you can look around the cockpit, identify a target. Once you've identified the target, move in on them and destroy them. Now, of course, some people are going to be like, alright, well, that's really, really cheap, you know, it's kind of not fair, but in reality, that's what you would do. You wouldn't put yourself at risk flying over bases or doing ridiculous things, especially when the area is completely hot and you're going to get shot down by AA fire in a matter of seconds. And it happens. You'll see maxes with AA that'll just destroy you in seconds. You'll see a ton of anti-aircraft tanks, or you'll see a bunch of other aircraft with anti-aircraft weapons on it, and they'll gang up on you. Especially if you're soloing this, if you don't have a wingman or you don't have a lot of air firepower yourself, you're pretty much putting yourself at risk of getting shot down immediately. So you're going to want to have that factor, that tactic that'll help assist you in surviving. Another tactic I use a lot, and it's not really an air tactic or anything specifically related to flying or bombarding the enemy in any way. If you're going on a main assault and you have your outfit, or you're in a platoon or whatever, and you're going to attack a specific area and there's a lot of air combat and there's a lot of ground targets and there's a lot of shit going on all at once, what I usually do, especially when your platoon will always put waypoints down on where he wants you to be, I will place my own personal waypoint that will be at the nearest resupply station, the nearest, safest resupply station. So when you're starting to take damage, you don't have to start flying off in a direction that trying to evade whatever is attacking you, realizing that you're flying towards the enemy's warp gate, only to be destroyed because that's where the main force is coming from. That waypoint will always be displayed on your heads-up display, which will help you to actually pinpoint which direction you should be flying in while you're trying to evade, so that way you can get near either your warp gate or a resupply station that'll have backup and anti-air there to actually eliminate whichever faction's aircraft may be trailing you back to your base. And they tend to do that a lot. I do it to the enemy as well. I will follow them until I literally cannot kill them because they're out of bounds in their warp gate, or I get shot down, or I'm taking too much fire and I turn around and have to fly the hell away. They'll do the same thing. If they're an avid pilot and they're decent at it, they will definitely follow you and try to kill you. They will harass you extensively. I do it. I like to harass the crap out of other pilots. That's my thing. I like to always be on their asses, making it very difficult for them to do whatever it is they're trying to do. That's the way you be a fighter pilot. That's the way you combat other aircraft. You want to be pretty much super aggressive and make them realize that you're not going to give up until they're dead. And that's pretty much a huge morale break to them whenever they realize that you're going in there and destroying the crap out of them repeatedly. The resources that it requires to respawn an aircraft, the countdown that is required to respawn an aircraft, they'll think twice about getting up in the air and trying to come after you. They'll be a little bit more on guard, which is kind of convenient because if you can actually... There's a psychological effect to what you can do in the game. So if you shoot down 3 aircraft that are fighting you at once, they're really going to seriously rethink their tactics of what they're doing. They're going to want revenge, or they're going to be thinking, okay, we got to go about this differently because 1 aircraft shot down 3 of us. And it's entirely possible. I've done it. Other people have done it. It's very easy to actually take on, well, not very easy, but it could be easy if you know what you're doing to take on 3 aircraft simultaneously, as long as you're outfitted with proper weaponry to do so. Another tip I can give you is control related. So one thing I like to do with my mouse, since I have the Razer Mamba 2012 edition, I like to actually use the thumb mouse buttons to my advantage whenever I'm flying. How I do that is actually when you have the pitch up and pitch down options in your aircraft controls key binding area, I tend to always make it so my thumb buttons are pitch up and pitch down as well. That way, whenever you're flying in a dogfight, you don't have to constantly be moving your mouse to stay on the person's ass, which is pretty useful because then you can just hold that button down and really wrap your vehicle around, since it has maximum torque whenever you're pulling up when you press the button, instead of it being gradually increased as you're pressing due to pressure how fast you're moving your mouse. It'll be maximum right off the bat, which will also help you to wrap around really quickly whenever you're in a turn fight, especially if you're on the Vandu and you have a scythe. Chances are you're going to just automatically win every single turn fight because the scythe is quite maneuverable already without even the dogfighting airframe. With the dogfighting airframe, it's even more ridiculous. You just roll faster, your maneuverability is just through the window, and it's kind of convenient whenever you can use that to your advantage when other players don't really know about it. Those of you that don't actually have a mouse with thumb buttons, those of you that are pretty standardized, find a key on your keyboard that is very easily accessible, very comfortable for you. I can't tell you which one to go with. There are numerous keys that you could choose from. Find one that feels natural to you. I've heard of people using the spacebar. Instead of ascending, they'll make the spacebar their actual pitch up key, and that way it'll be a little bit more simple because all they have to do is just press their thumb down, space, and they're able to indefinitely turn and get on your opponent's tail a lot more easily to eliminate him. That just about wraps up this guide to Air Supremacy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to rate the video, comment the video, and subscribe if you want to see more in the future. Let me know whether or not you actually find these tips helpful, whether or not they actually aided you in your air combat and your performance, and hopefully it helps you to dominate the skies. Take care, guys.